Hello and welcome to the 39th episode of Jazzology, presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person at the lead at the end of regulation will go first, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. And now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Brian Bacchus. Brian Bacchus is a Grammy-winning record producer, ex-A&R man, and record label head who has spent time at most of the major and at some independent labels. Brian, are you all set to defend your Jazzology championship today?
I hope so, but I'm thinking Kara's going to be a worthy opponent this time.
All right. Well, our challenger for this 39th episode of Jazzology is Kara Rush, who is also known as Slim in the music business. She is a jazz fan who has written columns about jazz and has been hosting radio shows on WRCU at Colgate University in central New York. Now let's get to today's Jazzology questions, including an accent on artists who performed at the 66th annual Monterey Jazz Festival last week. And as our reigning champion, Brian Bacchus goes first. Brian.
Good morning.
The jazz performance venue known as the Outpost Performance Space is located in which of the following cities?
Ooh.
Would that be A, Seattle, B, Kansas City, C, San Diego, D, Albuquerque, or E, San Jose?
Wow. Okay. I have to say right off the bat, I do not know the answer to this, so I'm going to guess. And by the name of it, I'm thinking that I know Seattle a little bit. I don't know Kansas City as well as I should in terms of the club scene or the festival scene. And I don't know San Diego. San Jose, I do know. And I don't think that's in San Jose. So I'm going to go with D, Albuquerque, thinking that it would be an outdoor space in a beautiful kind of outdoor setting. D. Oh.
That is correct.
Wow.
Outpost,
that was all luck there.
The Outpost Performance Space is based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was founded by a musician named Tom Goralnik. And it's a wonderful space, wonderful community resource, and it is also the co-presenter of the annual New Mexico Jazz Festival, which was a couple of weeks ago. All right, so Brian scores first. Slim, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Pianist Benny Green is an alum of the Betty Carter Trio and an alum of Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Where did Benny Green grow up? Was it A, San Francisco, B, New York City, C, Berkeley, D, Seattle, or E, Oakland?
I do not know the answer to this. Let's see. I have a great record of him with Russell Malone that I love, but I never thought to look where he came from. I'm going to say, I'm just going to guess and say Berkeley. So C.
Wow, that's a great guess. That's a great guess because Benny was actually born in New York but grew up in Berkeley, and was in that same great high school jazz band as so many other fine musicians, like Joshua Redman. He came out of that same high school. So yes, Benny Green grew up in Berkeley, California. So it's 2-2. Brian.
Yes, sir.
Saxophonist Leesa Benjamin was this year's Monterey Jazz Festival artist in residence. Leesa studied music at which of the following schools? Was it A, Berklee College of Music, B, the New School, C, Rutgers University, D, Manhattan School of Music, or E, Juilliard School?
That is a tough one. Wow. I know Leesa, and we've talked about this, I think, but I try to remember. I'm pretty sure it's a New York-based school, so it's not Berklee College of Music. And I don't know that it would be Rutgers. Just trying to think of some of her influences. Oh boy, I'm going to take a guess and say it was B, the New School. Oh, yeah.
Wow, we're batting 1,000 today.
I realized afterwards that I knew about her high school, I think, but I didn't know, because I think she first played with David Murray's steady group.
She did. And she grew up in Washington Heights, playing a lot of Latin music.
Yeah.
So Brian scores the points. Slim.
Yeah.
Pianist and composer Chris Davis has garnered a lot of notice, including the cover of the latest issue of Downbeat magazine, for her band Diatom Ribbons, and for her work with Terry Lynn Carrington's New Standards. Chris Davis is a native of what Canadian city? Would that be A, Toronto, B, Quebec City, C, Ottawa, D, Montreal, or E, Vancouver?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a guess as well, but I'm pretty sure she's did some work with Ingrid Jensen, who I believe is from Vancouver. So I'm going to say E, Vancouver.
Oh, you guys are killing it today. You're killing it today. All right, the correct
I'm
answer
getting lucky.
is Vancouver. All right, Brian. Trumpeter Sean Jones currently serves as the chair of jazz studies at what school? Would that be A, Oberlin Conservatory, B, Berklee College of Music, C, Peabody Institute, D, Rutgers University, or E, Duquesne University?
Well, I hope I get this one right, because I was just in Baltimore, and we're talking about Duquesne University and the pronunciation and the fact that he was there, but that he's now at Peabody, which is in Baltimore. So I'm going to say C, Peabody Institute.
And we are knocking it out of the park today. Sean Jones is indeed the chair of jazz studies at Peabody Institute, which is located at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Charm City, as they call it. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. This week's spotlight is on the legendary multi-Grammy Award winner, jazz keyboardist, arranger, and producer Bob James. Visit @Savage Content's YouTube page and find an exclusive Bob James treat as he performs with guitarist Howard Paul, playing the iconic theme song to the classic TV show Taxi, with the song entitled Angela. Visit www.youtube.com/SavageContent to watch this performance, as well as past Jazzology trivia shows. And our Jazzology new record of the week comes from none other than pianist Benny Green. It's a solo piano project on the Sunnyside label, and here it is. A wonderful record by Benny Green. I especially love his solo treatment of James Williams' classic piece, The Soulful Mr. Timmons. All right, now it's time to ask our favorite question. Slim, how'd you fall in love with jazz?
So I grew up in a household that had music on all the time and mostly jazz. So I think for a long time I just thought it was in the air and that's the way everybody heard it. But some of the early performers I remember actually like being curious enough to figure out what record was playing. Was like Sonny Rollins with St. Thomas Way was really caught my ear. I loved Ray Charles. I loved Amina Claudine Myers, and it's just so much out there. It's like you could take 20 lifetimes to hear all the great music out there. It just is so renewing. I just love it.
Absolutely, and I have to comment that just shows the power of what parents play for their children. Yeah. Because that's a very similar story to how I came to the music, was through my father's record collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And Brian, you've answered this question previously, but tell us what fall jazz activities you're looking forward to.
Well, I'm down in Florida now, but I'm headed up to New York because I want to see the Brick Jazz Fest, which when I've been in New York to go with, so I'm looking forward to that. And I just came off like a month-long trip where I was down in DC for the DC Jazz Festival, and then went to Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival. So that was culminating my fall. And I'm going to catch the tail end of Robert Glasper's month-long Rocktober or whatever at the Blue Note in New York, and see my old friend Nora Jones with him.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. I wish I was able to get up there for that. But let's go back to Slim with our next question. You ready, Slim?
I'm ready.
All right, Slim. The vocalist Gretchen Parlato's latest recording is in collaboration with guitarist Lionel Lueke. Gretchen Parlato has also collaborated with which of the following artists? Would that be A, Becca Stevens, B, Terry Lynn Carrington, C, Mark Juliana, D, Marcus Miller, or E, all of the above?
Okay, so Gretchen Parlato. I actually have heard some of her stuff, but I don't have the latest record, and I don't know a ton about her. I'm trying to see what the connection is with the other names. I know you're pretty tricky with when you ask questions, because I think a lot of them, they could all be plausible answers. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a connection here. I think Becca Stevens, I remember maybe she was on Max Jazz. Terry Lynn Carrington's been at it a long time. She's probably played with everybody. Mark Giuliani. Is he from New Jersey, maybe? Marcus Miller. I really don't know. They could all be plausible. I'm going to say E, all of the above.
And we are knocking these questions out of the park positively today. My goodness, we got to trip somebody up somewhere along the way. Let's see what we can do with Brian. Brian, yes, indeed. I should go back and say, yes, indeed, Gretchen Parlato played with all of the above and collaborated with all of the above. And in fact, C, Mark Juliana, is her husband. Okay. All right. Our next question. Tenor saxophonist and flutist Lou Tobachan, husband of pianist bandleader Toshiko Akiyoshi, is a native of what city? Is Lou Tobachan from New York? Is he from Newark? Is he from Boston? Is he from Philadelphia? Or is he from Pittsburgh?
Wow. That is one that I'm a fan of Lou's playing. And I first got turned on to him really when they had the big band with Toshiko's big band.
Right.
Oh man. And I never thought about like where did he come from? He's such a muscular tenor player and a beautiful flute player.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I don't think of him as part of the Philadelphia contingent or the Pittsburgh contingent. I'm going to take a wild guess because maybe they ran across each other because they're husband and wife years ago when she was at Berkeley, and he's from Boston. See, Boston.
Uh-oh. We've got our first incorrect response. Lou Tobachan, who played a beautiful set at the Garden Stage, on the Garden Stage at Monterey Jazz Festival last weekend. He had Jeremy Pelt on trumpet, played a quartet set with Jeremy Pelt on trumpet. Lou Tobachan is from D, Philadelphia. So we have one incorrect answer so far. My goodness. Let's see what we can do, Slim. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Guitarist John Scofield made a quintet album called Electric Outlet in 1984 for the Grammy-winning label. Who was the trombone player on that record? Was it A, Ray Anderson, B, Steve Turre, C, Craig Harris, D, Roswell Rudd, or E, Michael Dees?
Wow. Grammy-winning was recording at that time, I think Ray Anderson and Craig Harris. So I'm thinking it's one of those two. I probably shouldn't say this in case Brian can steal and I'm wrong, but it's tricky over there. So I can be tricky too and just leading him astray here. Don't think it was Steve Turre, but I'm gonna go with Craig Harris.
C, Craig Harris?
Yeah.
No, you almost had it too, because it was A, Ray Anderson.
Yeah.
Ray Anderson made that recording with John Scofield. So you were there, but not quite.
Yeah. What if he wrote a record? Yeah. Yeah. What if?
All right, Brian, you ready?
Oh boy, I got a second life here, huh?
Yeah, right. Brian, the great vocalist, NEA jazz master Diane Reeves, appeared as a singer in which of the following 1991 films? A, Guilty by Suspicion. B, Good Night and Good Luck. C, What About Bob? D, Suburban Commando. Or E, The Addams Family.
Well, I'm just trying to remember. I'm thinking you might try to trick me up with the years. I do remember that she sang in Good Night and Good Luck, and I think it was 91. So I'm going to go with B, Good Night and Good Luck.
Oh, I'm afraid that's wrong. The correct answer to that question is A, Guilty by Suspicion. And you had it when you mentioned the year.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
That's the tricky part, because she did indeed sing in Good Night and Good Luck, which was the George Clooney film.
I knew you were going to trick us up like that.
But 1991 was Guilty by Suspicion. All right, Slim. NEA jazz master Charles Lloyd has worked with several exceptional pianists in his quartet down throughout his career. Which of the following pianists have not been members of Charles Lloyd's quartet? Would that be A, Benny Green, B, Sullivan Fortner, C, Taylor Eichstein, D, Chris Davis, or E, all of the above?
Wow. I know right now he's working with on guitar, Bill Frisell. I can't think of that many. I'm trying to think. I don't think he normally works with a pianist, but we've already decided you're all tricky over there, so I don't know. So we've talked about Benny Green today. We talked about Chris Davis. I'm going to say, oh man, I have no idea. I'm going to say he hasn't worked with all of the above, none of them.
That is absolutely correct. The answer is all of the above. And by the way, he is currently working with a pianist in his quartet, and that would be Gerald Clayton. Gerald Clayton played with him at Monterey last week.
Was that so? It was on one of the new Blue Note records. He's on one of them, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for our bonus round, and Brian has an opportunity to catch up. Are you ready, Brian?
I don't think so. It's too early.
Trumpeter and composer Ambrose Akinola debuted a deeply African commissioned piece at the recent 66th annual Monterey Jazz Festival that featured the great African vocalist Umu Sangare. Ambrose first recorded as a sideman with which of the following band leaders? Was it A, Vijay Iyer, B, Steve Coleman, C, Walter Smith III, D, Roy Hargrove, or E, Esperanza Spalding?
Wow, okay. Recorded.
Yes.
You're not played with. Wow. I know he and VJ have worked together. I'm not sure about him and Walter Smith, but I'm going to guess that they came up around the same time. And I think Esperanza. But Steve Coleman has always been ahead of the curve in terms of young musicians. And Ambrose would seem like he's somewhat coming out of that school. So I'm going to go with B, Steve Coleman.
That's absolutely correct. Ambrose first recorded as a sideman with saxophonist Steve Coleman. So that brings us to sudden death. And as our champion, Brian goes first in sudden death. Are you ready, Brian?
No. Okay. Hit me.
Bassist Ruben Rogers, who notably performed at the Monterey Jazz Festival 2023 with Charles Lloyd, Kendrick Scott, and others, Ruben Rogers is a native of what Caribbean nation? Is that A, Jamaica, B, Cuba, C, Puerto Rico, D, the Virgin Islands, or E, St. Martin?
Okay, so as a fellow Caribbean, my parents are from Guyana. I'm always kind of paying attention to the cats that come from there, or and how they sound and what they're doing, going back to people like Monty Alexander, even further back. So I'm pretty sure that it's not Jamaica, although I could be wrong, but I think it would have come across and that would have pinged me. So I'm going to say the Virgin Islands.
The Virgin Islands?
Yeah. I figured it was an English-speaking territory.
That is correct. Ruben Rogers is a native of the Virgin Islands. And congratulations once again to Brian Bacchus on your win. We encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to Brian Bacchus, Kara Rush, also known as Slim. Slim, you will be back, guaranteed.
Thank you.
And to everyone who joined us for our 39th episode of Jazzology today. Remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you miss the show live, you can find the archive on Savage Content YouTube channel. Thanks again. Much appreciated. And thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Jazzology.